Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. I know coming on a little bit early, but I noticed that somebody was waiting, so I figured I'd jump on. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Laura. I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid. Rules could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks and shadows and see how they play out as karmic themes to help you understand why your person's doing what they're doing. Right, really important when we're dealing with a person that wears masks, create personas and illusions. You know, they have the power to keep us ruminating. And when we see our situation from a different perception, well, we don't get as triggered and we're able to actually see how we're contributing to the imbalances, and we're able to completely shape shift the energy, which gives you your power back, which is really important when you're dealing with a past life karmic mate that just loves to get underneath your skin. They do this by stonewalling you, gaslighting you, creating illusions. So I will answer everyone's questions after I do the reading, because I was told last time that, I would stop and answer questions, and sometimes people said that it's distracting. So I am going to do that, answer your questions later. Also know if you guys are part of the Empath and Sensitive group on my Facebook page at 4 o'clock today, which I might be getting on a little bit late. I will be doing, because I'll be here, I'll be doing a talk on ghosting. And again, what to do in those situations to diffuse the energy. Thank you, Luminous Sky. Like I said, I just want to do right by everyone. So again, about ghosting, because a lot of times, again, when we're dealing with a karmic mate, that's just what they like to do, again, to get underneath our skin. And so the best way to deal with that energy, it's all about shape shifting your energy so you can see yourself differently. When we go through these experiences, that keep us in a place of feeling bad about ourselves. Like, a person can make us feel like not worthy, not good enough. And they purposely do that in hopes that we settle for less. Well, it makes us feel bad, obviously. So doing something with that energy, to make that person feel bad is really empowering. And you don't want to do it just to but you want to do it so you can see yourself differently, so that you clear that energetic template, which is just the emotion that with, being around somebody toxic, makes you make you feel bad. So, all right. So the underlining energy is dark night of the soul. Well, this person couldn't feel any worse according to this card, because the dark night of the soul means that this person has had a tower moment in their life. And so you may say, well, it wasn't because of me, because they didn't give enough. I feel like you're part of that. So are you the main thing? No, but you're like the cherry on the ice cream. And I feel like person that goes through a dark night of the soul, it's eventually that the universe comes in and says enough. And whatever wasn't built on its laws, which is God's laws, because the universe is just an extension of God, really. It's God's energy, because God made the universe. So it has to vibrate at the energy of unconditional love. It has to be true. It has to, all energies that are derived from unconditional love. So everything that's of a high vibration, anything that's not, that was in this person's life, there's nothing, crashes. It's destroyed with a dark night of the soul. And that's why this person's looking around at their life, and you're like, well, they didn't give me that much, so why would I be in there? Well, you were the only thing that was true. That's what I get out of that. Well, it's because you're like, well, it's like they acted like I was an option. If anything, they were so stubborn, caught up in wanting to be right and having things their way. I feel like this person just didn't know what they wanted, and I don't know why I feel that. But it's, again, they are in a place of guilt because, well, there's nothing left. And I think when they looked at you, again, you were someone that was true. So you were really a real friend. You didn't want anything, based on the illusions that this person created. So I feel like this person created illusions like they were like had more money than they did, had a better lifestyle. So they attracted a lot of people that, wanted things from this person. But you didn't really want anything. You wanted them. You wanted their energy. And so they were, again, rebellious. Again, that's, well, they treated you like an option. But understand, a person that doesn't give energy to anybody and breadcrumbs everyone, don't feel bad about that. That's an intimacy issue on their part. And they think if I, try every flavor in the ice cream store, then I'll know which flavor I like. But what winds up happening is you don't like any flavor because you just confuse yourself. And that's what this person, again, they wanted to do things their way. They wanted to do things again, so they acted like they didn't care that much about you, like I could take you or leave you. Like always, like they were distracted, like maybe had one foot out the door, didn't really want to seem settled. And that's why I said, I feel like this person didn't really know what they wanted when they met you. Even though you could say, hey, we had this connection, having a connection, but a person being ready for that connection are two totally different things, especially if there's someone that tends to be rebellious, tends to like to get a lot of attention from other people, you know, um, th- gets influenced by their friends, well, you're not really the settling kind. Well, you don't really like, I think that you need to finish your degree, or I think that you need to finish, you know, but that person's not strong within themselves. And the person that's not strong within themselves is going to be like a player, is going to want to try every single flavor in the ice cream store and think that they can make, and is going to discredit this connection because of what it's going to require them. They weren't honest, and being with them, it was draining. It's like, but I feel like it was also draining for this person to run around with a lot of different people. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing, this person had an expectation that even though that they were going to be inconsistent, that for whatever reason you'd still be consumed by them, that you were never going to confront them, but I feel like you did confront them. And then what happened is you were like, okay, like you don't really want, I'm not getting the answers that I want. So you walked away. Now this person's haunted, like I said, and they're haunted because there's other things in this person's life that aren't working out. It's almost like their life was dormant and they're looking around at even just friends. So, not saying this person only wanted to be friends with you, but the whole point is that out of everybody, you were a real person. You were a real like friend. Now they would want to come back. Now they see your value where they had discredited that value before, where because they were so invested in getting what they wanted that they would be, just dramatic, like just to get control, like the over the top behavior is that, you know so it was always about that they, now you don't even have a good like taste in your mouth when it comes to them, because it's almost like, that's what it was. So what was it? It's like, and that's the thing, this person's ashamed. And you know why they're ashamed? Because they knew exactly what they were doing. It's again, and they feel bad now because it's almost like you disconnected. So it's like you're like, I'm not really gonna be with you. I don't really want to be with you. I couldn't let you get close to me at the time. It's like, so it's almost again that they were in a different headspace. And again, their life isn't as what it seems. So it's not anything of what you remember it to be, like I said, but it was never as what it seemed. So if anything was going to happen, this person is just not strong enough to reach out to you. I see it's like, I will wait for a sign from you, almost like that's because they don't know how to like play it, because they know that they didn't treat you right. They know that they weren't accountable. They know again that there's a part of this person that either had a hard time of letting go of their past, had spiritual blocks. Maybe you did too, but you don't really ever seem that you like, you never really felt as if you met the real person. You don't know who you met. You met like a person like that posed as maybe somebody else, that acted like somebody else. And you better believe that that's exactly what happened. If there's a tower moment here where the universe came in and said enough, because this person was, dating a lot of people and they acted like you were an option. Remember, they wanted to try every single flavor in the ice cream store. They didn't know who you were, and they kind of treated you like everybody else. And now that their life is in a different place, well, they wish that they did things differently now, is what I'm feeling. There's a part of this person that's really resentful, and they're resentful for themselves, at themselves. They know that they were prideful. They know that part of them was enjoying trying to make you feel jealous, and that they triggered you for not really being in there. And they also know that they pushed you to a point that you're kind of disgusted with them, because again, what you see is that they're selfish. So if you don't think that they have anxiety, they do. Well, it's again, they ran to a third party that, well, let me answer the questions after. Sometimes we go, this might not be your story too. So, but understand, it's people tend to always go to someone else. And in this story, this person always ran to somebody else. It's how they manipulate, it's how they control, it's how, are you going to settle for less than what you deserve? Hey, I think I can get it because it works. It worked before. You might not do it, but someone else might do it. That's who this person thought that they were going to be. It's again, and what they would do is they had over the top behavior. So again, every little thing probably triggered them, knowing that they would make you feel bad. They tried to emotionally manipulate you. That's what they tried to do. They deliberately said that. They're like, tried to do that. But now that they're with the third party, I understand the grass is never greener on the other side. Anyone that would put up with that, first of all, that, you know what I mean? So this person that they ran to isn't getting more than what you're getting. They're just putting up with what that person's giving them. So they're like considered a supply, which allows this person to act like an asshole to you. However, when there's a real spiritual connection, that person feels bad because their little plan backfired on them. They're still not getting what they want, when they were really quite sure that they would get what they wanted. Because again, I've done this before. It's like I pin other people against, I do triangulation, because it's not so much about the person, it's about them, this person getting what they want when they want, and not having to give that much for it, is what I feel. And so again, look, this person, they don't think that your story is over yet. And it's almost like it's over when I say that it's over. And it's like almost like it's okay. It's their way of the highway. And that's the thing. Well, that's what I'm saying. When is how much are you willing to take? So it's like I perceive that you were this person, and I perceived that you were that person that was going to give to me. Maybe you were too nice, maybe too giving, too loving. We'll see within your inner child wound cards. And so again, this person got cocky, and then what happened is it's like you were like no, and it was almost like no, wait a minute, that's got to be wrong. Let me push you a little bit harder. I'm sure. Let me do something else. Let me do something else. So you're like, we had this strong connection, and this person like destroyed it. And they destroyed it because they were so sure of themselves. It's again, so it doesn't mean that connection is gone. ESP through the heart and mind, past life karmic mate. Until this person learns, they are still going to be tapped into you. You may say, well, I'm not tapped into them anymore. I don't think about them as much. But this person, if they're thinking about you all the time, they're obsessed, and they will think that it's your energy also, because a person can again be that deluded. And I say that with this person because they were running around with a lot of people. They actually think that they're pretty strategic in getting what they want. Down to the dramatic behavior. It doesn't mean that they're not a little worried. And it doesn't mean that they're not insecure. People that are insecure play these games. They're not transparent. Again, they'll just act like, oh, I don't really have feelings. I don't really care. I feel like I can't give you what you need. Yeah, and they can't, because that would require them to give a lot more than what they feel comfortable giving. And it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with, I'm kind of comfortable. And I say that it's like a person that runs around like that. Again, this is the end. It's like, because, you're not going to settle for less. And it's like, I don't really want to. I don't really want to change. It's like, it's like, I feel bad that I didn't get what I wanted. You know what I mean? It's like I was so sure, but this person will never really look and see what they do, is what you see. They don't care what they do. It's all about, playing dumb. Like I said, like acting like they don't know what they do so that you're the bad guy. And the reason why is because you're going to react emotionally. So, again, the best thing to do is not act emotionally, just detach, give nothing, absolutely nothing. Because this person, like, again, they create a lot of drama. Instead of being able to have a conversation, they're too intense in the aspect of creating so much drama that it's exhausting, because they'll pull in other people. They'll again get other people involved to trigger you. They'll again say one thing, do another. It's all about, this person believing that they have supplies. So to feed their ego. And then, so even if this was a connection, because you might say, well, this was a real connection, and it's not like it wasn't, but it was a past life karmic connection. And in every lifetime, that person has the opportunity to step it up. Again, we live many lifetimes. We wouldn't learn that we're not separate from the universe, from love, from God. We wouldn't learn that in one lifetime, especially a person like this. So understand, it's like they had an opportunity, and for whatever reason, they again blew it. It's again, I wasn't ready for the real love, and I'm sorry. Literally, is what I just pulled. They weren't ready for it. It's like that, yes, it was real, but instead of them being accepting and open to it, they again acted like more of like they got pissed off almost. Like, I have feelings for you, but I don't want this connection. And so I believe I can have my cake and eat it too. And I'm going to push you into subservient. Don't make me feel vulnerable about it almost. And that's why I'm saying it's like this person got triggered by it. I wish I had been able to give you my heart again. I will always remember you. So again, everything is like we had this special connection. It's not that we didn't, but it was the realness. And it's not even the realness. I mean, yes, that would require intimacy and trust and all the things that this person is not good at, but it was all this person's not willingness to really to surrender their ego. And so you have to say, why did you attract this person into your life, if anything? Because you have to understand, like, there's, even if you're like, it was a dud of a relationship, what was the whole point? Is that to make me feel bad? Well, you're not supposed to feel bad. No one should be able to make you feel bad. So if you feel bad, it means there's fragmentation there that you need to heal, because you're not your experience. This person shouldn't have been able to make you feel a certain way. And so you need to do different things. And that happens with the healing and then the actual transmutation process, right? It's like, it's a two-part. It's like, and so Spirit says card number 1, sing. Card number 2, unworthy. Card number 3, discipline. That card doesn't even belong in there in its soulmate connection, so I'm not going to put it over to the side. We already knew that. Organized chaos. Physical touch. Abandonment. Lies and deception. One more for good health, laughter. All right. So Spirit says we always look at your inner child wound cards to see what was the repeating karmic pattern. And that karmic pattern is, well, the abandonment, the lack of emotional support, the organized chaos could be, again, just the lies and the deception of, growing up in an environment, let's just say, where you really felt like mommy and daddy are supposed to be perfect, right? It's the illusion, but it's like what we realize pretty young is that they're not, but so if we grew up in an environment where there was alcoholism, where there was drug addiction, where there was like um cheating, adultery, that was the word I was looking for, where like adultery went on, like there was real betrayal. Understand, that's the lies, again, and the deception. And so even though the child was just a child, they're going to inherit that family karma. They're going to, it's just what happens. And so they inherit that betrayal, where I saw my mom didn't feel safe in her relationship. And it's, again, because that was a real experience. So you embodied that experience because you witnessed it. So understand, like, that feeling of unworthiness happens when you've been abandoned and when you emotionally don't get the needs that, your needs met. So if your mom went through that experience too, she wouldn't actually be able to give you as much as she would want to give. Like the environment was impaired. And, it could also just be the lies and the deception of who we pretend to be or think that we need to be. Maybe your dad worked so many different jobs to live in a house that he couldn't afford, and it created a lot of problems. Like, again, because it wasn't enough. Now we live in this big house, but we can never go away on vacation. We never. It's, again, the lie. Try to keep up with the Joneses, and that puts a lot of strain on the family. You need to act a certain way. You need to fit in. This is a collective reading, so understand, like, everyone's situation is different. However, the underlining feeling is unworthy. I'm unworthy because it's like my needs go abandoned. I am not there. It's, again, what's most important is we cover up the lie, cover up the secrecy. So yes, we go to go get along. But it's like chaos. It's a little chaotic because I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I'm not comfortable in the environment. I'm not comfortable just being myself. So again, utilizing our voice, it's like, obviously we don't, we don't set boundaries. We don't, again, we're not able to create our own world with our voice. And so Spirit's saying, it's like, so then the joy and the happiness and laughter winds up, obviously not as much, because how does that happen? Well, you have laughter and joy when you're interactive in your own life, creating your own life, connecting to people and situations and experiences that are going to fill your soul and fill you up with joy and passion. Well, obviously, again, if there were things going on in the home, we've inherited that. We have inherited the family karma, ancestral karma, and then our own karma, our own perceptions of that experience. So you might have said, well, you know what? I already watched my mother grow up, like, again, like, live this experience. And so, again, I'm not going to live this experience. So I'm going to actually change my DNA. And that, because really sickness and disease is only 5% inherited. What we do is we inherit the habits and behaviorisms that turn our genes on and off. So again, you might have said, hey, like, I already recognize this looks very familiar, and I would not like this because this is the way what my mom went through. But I also went through it because at a young age kind of took it on. And so Spirit says, Yeah, so not giving this person the energy, where is that energy going? You have to transmute the negative energy. Excuse me. You have to transmute that negative energy. Hey, Shanti. Thank you. So we have to say, where does it come from? And really, Spirit says, first of all, what you have to do is you have to align your actions with your heart's true desires. Now, they have a person on this card, and I don't like that. And because again, in this situation, when it says follow your passions, not a person. It's a thing. It's like a hobby. It's an interest. It's something just for you. It's something that where again you love. Something where you lose your time, your energy, your focus, and your money. Where do you just find it? That you just, oh, I always like to buy makeup, play with makeup. It's like it could be anything. I always liked electronics. It's like put your energy there into creating is what Spirit's saying. Why? Because that is what's gonna again begin to take shape and create a way out of nothing. Again, especially if you attracted a person like this, that really is like they had nothing to really give. And it's like the Spirit saying, well, especially you're like, was attached to somebody that just created a lot of fucking drama. And the Spirit says, right, so it's a fake passion. It's what's lacking because you needed to integrate certain spiritual wounds that you had from childhood. Again, where emotionally you didn't get anything. So you're like, so you brought me someone that emotionally doesn't give me anything. And Spirit says, yes, because that's going to make you feel as if you can't have it. And so that's going to, you'll eventually look for it. It's again, and hopefully eventually you won't look for it outside of you. However, if you look for it outside of you, you're going to get a counterfeit. So again, that's why I said I don't like the fact that they have a person on that card. I think that you need to align your actions with your heart's desires when it comes to, again, things that you're passionate about, things that you love to do, and release control, like of how you need it to look. Like, don't judge your process. But like, how come that happened? I'm never going to get anyone this. Spirit says, no, you needed to integrate the spiritual lesson because part of life is to get the lesson, to get the test rather. And growing up in that environment was actually the test. And I feel like maybe your mother failed it, or your father failed it, and that now you have to take the test. And you're like, and here it is. You're like in it, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna like be with this person. I already recognize this, and so you pass the test. But Spirit's saying, but you still have to create passion in your life. That is still broken. It still needs to be transmuted. So again, we release control because it's a co-creation process. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. All you have to do is be like childlike, love what you do, be in the passion for life. That's how you give and receive of love. And the universe conspires to bring you more energy like that. It's again, this way you can tell who's a counterfeit and who's not when they come towards you by what they give and where they're investing their time. And that's the thing. Like, you didn't see that. Understand the discipline to me is if you were so caught up in what was going on in your home trauma, then we're not creating ourselves. We become our trauma a little bit. Like we like say, well, I had to like stay home and help my mom out, or I had to help raise my brother or my sister because there was again this was going on in the household at the time. So we become less disciplined in creating ourselves and looking for that answer outside of ourselves to get that emotional support. Because we're like, well, I'm giving of myself here at home, but I'm not really getting what I need. So again, I'm going to look for that outside, and then you're always going to come up short. Again, because you're like, well, again, emotionally, I didn't get what I needed because what was happening. So there's an illusion like you can't, when really Spirit says you can, but you have to do it yourself. You have to integrate the lesson. Release control of what it looks like and move into the unknown. Because then you're going to meet people, situations, and experiences that are going to show you different aspects of yourself. It's again because there's a part of you that needs to see yourself differently. Because again, if you saw yourself differently, you wouldn't settle for so little. You would again say, well, I'm a lot deserving of a lot more. And the reason why is because when you go into the unknown and you're meeting people and situations and experiences, you're becoming yourself. It's again, you're having a fun, you're raising your vibration, you're pouring into yourself. So Spirit's saying, and understand you're protected. It's like you're not going to be hurt. And everything happens in its right time, in divine time. God makes a way where there is no way just for you. So just be patient. The illusion of, oh, it's not going to happen, I'm going to miss it. Spirit says, just be in your body, be present, be in the moment. It's again, create yourself, move into the unknown, have passion for life. Again, everything's going to happen in the right time. This person was just counterfeit. And you saw that. You're like, oh no, I would be settling for so little. And Spirit says, yeah, you would be settling for kind of like the same energy that you grew up with, which is you emotionally didn't get anything and felt emotionally abandoned because of what was going on in the house. So again, like it's always someone else's fault, but you're paying for the karma. And Spirit says, so no, you have to choose yourself, which you did. And we end off with one more message, which is self-love. Again, couldn't get a better one for this one. Spirit says it's all about you filling up your own cup. It's if you felt abandoned, if you didn't emotionally get what you needed, you have to show up for yourself and become yourself and emotionally give yourself. And that's going to happen again through being interactive in your life. Because then the universe is also co-creating you and bringing you all the right people and situations and experiences that are shaping you, changing your mind and your heart about how you see yourself and some of your experiences. And that's why Spirit says, so you had to attend to your own needs by listening to your heart. Your inner essence lets you know what is good for you. You respect your limits. You answer the request of your body and your soul, and you learn to love yourself fully. So then this way you can really attract who you're supposed to be. So you might say, I do love myself, but Spirit says, I want to see the action that tells me that. Because someone could say, I love myself, but what did you do all day? Well, I sat around, watched TV, and ate Doritos and pretzels. And God would say, that's not showing that you love yourself. That's actually showing that emotionally you're not fulfilled and you're suppressing emotions. But we'll be like, but I'm content with that. And listen, some days I'm content with that. I'm not gonna lie. And Spirit says, well, you're out of balance. It's again that because there should be a lot more to life than Fritos and and the upcoming sitcom, because it's not going to last. And again, those are things that are outside of you. So sometimes we say, I think I do love myself. In the universe saying, I don't like the way you do it. It's again, so it's about more becoming yourself so that you get something in return for it. And that's either emotional support, financial support, that there's some sort of support that happens. That again, in the long run, is gonna, help you. And that's what Spirit says. So, like I said, it could be, hey, we grew up in an environment where we had to, emotionally soothe ourselves. And Spirit says, so, you might eat too much, you might drink too much, you might smoke too much. And the Spirit saying that is why you attracted that person. It's again, because you might say, well, I'm not, that person was an asshole. That person was mean. The Spirit says, well, you're acting mean to yourself. I'm inside of you. So I gave you free will, but it's again, the shadow, you might not be aware of, but the behaviorism and then what manifests from that behaviorism should be telling you something. And we're like, yeah, I see it, but let's pretend that I don't. And the universe says, "Oh, it gave you free will, but there's consequences for that." And the consequence could be another meathead coming into your life, wasting your time. And so Spirit says you got to treat yourself with love and goodness. And that might be have a love affair with yourself at first, because if you're not doing it, it's because you don't know the person that I created. You're looking at yourself through, again, well, these are my experiences. And Spirit says you're not your experiences. You're looking at yourself wrong. It's like if you wore your pants like a shirt. You'd say, this doesn't look right. This feels wrong. This looks fucked up. And spirits would say, yes, try something different. Again, there's many different realities that play out at one time. You're the alchemist of your life. Again, embody a new consciousness. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you. Now I'll take your questions. He literally sends stories with love, words from third parties that she's, yeah, that's disgusting. That's like, I'm trying to get underneath your skin. And that's this energy when a person's so sure of themselves. And then what happens is you don't give in, and they have perceived you as less than them or weak or so in love. Then they're like, and then you stand up for yourself and you make them see really not just who you are, but who they are. And so, of course, they get triggered. They get triggered and project all that back onto you. And so, to get you to react so that they could say, see, I knew that you were a jerk. See, I knew that you were crazy. When meanwhile, you're like, okay, anybody that does what you just did would go crazy. The key is not to give this person any energy. Nothing. Don't answer if they send the email. I would block this person off everything. Just block them off everything. And it's again, just be interactive in your life. That's what I would do, because you have to starve out people that want to do that. So remember, they always want to be like, oh, see, like it was okay what I did to justify, and it's not. You know, a lot of people don't see it coming. A lot of people don't, because get caught up in the connection. We get caught up in the words. We get caught up in what we want. But the truth of the matter is if you're actually becoming it and you're loving your life, you can see what's counterfeit and what's not. It's like, hey, I was on Canal Street and I thought I bought like a Prada. And then I wound up, realizing when I got home, it was a Prado. If I was again like really invested in my life and let's just say I owned a bag, right? I owned a Prada bag because I really had one, and I went to the store and I knew the touch of it, I knew the feel of it, and I knew my eye would jump out at all the places that it would have showed me that it's a counterfeit. It's the same thing with a person when they're a counterfeit, because they can't be consistent. They can't be consistent. What you'll notice is that their words contradict. And if they're dating a lot of different people, they can't remember their story. So it's the fact that your cup wasn't full. And the whole point, again, of why we're down here is to really be the expression of love. And we can't do that unless we fully love ourselves. And a lot of times, like I said, we're born into families and situations that give us a perception of who we are, but that's not who we are. We get the story of who we think we are. Then there's a real story of who we truly are. And you have to say, why does that happen? And God says, for my glory, we wouldn't have a relationship. I work my magic through your most broken. It's which teaches all your haters who the fuck you are. Again, because people will always like to see downfall in certain people. And also you get to see it yourself and really how capable you are. And it's about that. You don't heal until you see a different version of yourself. That's the whole embodiment process. Most people think, oh, I healed it, but they didn't heal it until they actually see a different version of themselves. One that's succeeding, one that's financially abundant, one that's, because there really can be those realities, but we get caught up in the illusions of the outside world and then judge ourselves based on that. So we have to get back to a place of really connecting to our higher self, that God part of self. And that's by finding out who we are. What do you love? Where do you lose yourself? Where do you lose your time, your energy, your focus, and your money? What stirs up your soul? Because when you're in that energy, that's when the universe is going to bring you people that you resonate with, and then you're looking to see where you want to go, not where you're afraid that you will go. It's a way that you can actually transcend the limitations of your mind. But a lot of people get caught up in the illusions of the world, and that's why it says don't let the world tell you who you are, because the world will always tell you their version of who you are. Know who you are, that you have spiritual sovereignty that gives you birthright to create your own heaven on earth. And so you have to become that energy, so that when we see these blockages, that's our just cue to integrate, to heal, to love ourselves. And our relationships, unfortunately, are our biggest telltale sign where we have blockages. All right, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I'm going to need to jump on to Facebook because I am doing a topic there called ghosting. What's going on with my lip? Um, and the ghosting is, when a person, just vanishes and then they want to pop back up later on. How can we handle that when we're dealing with karmics? Now, this is going to be on my empath and sensitive page. I will leave the link in the description box. All right. Thanks again for joining me. I love you guys. I'll be on later tonight. Bye-bye.